This past week in Vancouver and Whistler, British Columbia, military athletes from around the world gathered for this year's Invictus Games. It's an international sporting event involving wounded, injured, or ill military personnel, including those still serving or veterans. It was started in 2014 by Prince Harry, a military veteran himself, as a way to support troops as they deal with physical and psychological challenges, and also to celebrate the human spirit. TD was one of the sponsors of the event, and among those in attendance were TD employees who are also veterans or still serving.
My name is Matthew Agus. I am a senior agile coach at TD, and I am a 15-year veteran of the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry.
My name is Sarah Decker. I'm a marketing manager on the regional marketing implementation team. I'm also a gunnery sergeant in the United States Marine Corps Reserves.
Gene Bryan, I'm a senior manager in the financial crimes risk management space in the U.S. I've been with the bank 14 years. Prior to that, I was an Air Force veteran for 13 years.
As a veteran, service doesn't end when your contract ends with the military. It goes beyond that. And I think one of the things that's important to me being here is that we continue to support those who have served or have been injured in the line of duty.
I think it's important for veterans to see organizations like TD sponsoring this event because it shows them that TD really cares about this initiative and about them as veterans.
But this is a community that we represent. We have a lot of folks who serve in Canada and the U.S. And even across the world. This just means that this is a prioritization for us to support each other and continue to help them heal and just be there for them.
Catherine Dangerfield, Associate Vice President for TD Wealth, has a strong family connection to Canada's military.
My grandfather served in World War I. My father served his career in the Canadian Armed Forces. My husband served 20 years in the Armed Forces, my father-in-law. And as an honorary lieutenant colonel, I am, for the first time in my life, wearing the uniform. So it's a huge point of pride for me to be involved with the forces. As a sponsor of Invictus Games, TD is very proud because a lot of the values that the games represent are aligned to the values that we hold close. And those are things like support for persons with disabilities, support for our veterans and reservists, and partnership with our local Indigenous communities.
And joining us now is Scott Moore, CEO of Invictus Games Vancouver and Whistler 2025. Scott, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. First off, congratulations on an extraordinary event. I mean, in between you, your team, the athletes, volunteers, you all must be exhausted, though.
Not so much exhausted as just full of pride and full of joy from the event. It was something else. It was way beyond my expectations. I knew it was going to be great, but it was far more impactful than I had expected. And by the way, as a lifelong TD client and a dedicated banker, TD banker, it was great to see you guys supporting us the way you did. And Catherine Dangerfield was incredibly supportive, and because of her background, as you just heard, was passionate from the word go about this event.
Well, it was our pleasure, and again, we're so proud to be part of something like this. I have to ask you, though, because you actually have a long, storied career in sports media. I mean, you've worked for, national networks when it comes to producing sports, and there's a long list of things you've done, Scott. But I wanted to ask you how this was different, because you've seen a lot of interesting things, but I know this hits differently.
It's totally different. I've had the opportunity to do 11 Olympic Games, multiple Commonwealth Games, Pan Am Games, major championships, ran a couple of networks over my career, and nothing had the impact that this had on me. It was by far the most meaningful thing I've done in my career. And it was because we had the opportunity to serve those who have served us for so long. And it makes a huge difference in their lives and the lives of their friends and family. These are people who have seen some of the worst things you can possibly imagine in the course of their service. Many have invisible injuries instead of visible injuries, and many of them had significant visible injuries. But this gave them a purpose again, gave them an opportunity to wear their team's flag again on or their country's flag again on their uniform. so many of them said to us, this gave us something to strive for, gave us purpose back in our lives. And we hear from their families, thank you for giving us our dad back, or thank you for giving us our mom back, or our sister, or our brother. It really hit home to all of the 2,000 volunteers and 100 plus staff that we have, that we were really making a difference. It really, in many ways, it wasn't about sport. It was just about giving these people a purpose again.
Can you tell us some of the stories that stuck with you? I mean, I've gone through quite a few of them, and I've reapplied my mascara about 14 times, so they're amazing. So what stuck with you?
There's so many, but I'll give you a couple because there are few themes that we tried to live by. One was creating a legacy of gratitude, which is gratitude for service. And the second was a legacy of inspiration. And the inspiration was amazing because the first story I'll tell you was from our opening ceremony. We sold out BC Place at 42,000. That was an opportunity for 42,000 people to give these service members from all over the world a literal hug. The story that I have is from an 18-year-old son of a friend who went to the opening ceremony to hear Noah Khan, one of our headliners. And at the end, he said to his mom, I have nothing to complain about. Look at what these people have done for us and how they've suffered. And I've got nothing to complain about. If we can hit gratitude with that demographic, I sort of joked that it was a bit of a bait and switch for that 18-year-old, came for a concert and found out a little bit about the history and importance of service. So that was great. And I met a young man from Team UK at the top of the mountain in Whistler. He was sitting in a sit ski. It was his first time competing, and he said thank you to me, and I said I would appreciate it if you could say thank you into my phone so I can share it with the people who are actually doing the work, my staff and the 2,000 volunteers. So he said to my phone, he said that this has been the greatest experience. I've learned how to sit ski. I've learned how to enjoy myself on the mountain, but most importantly, I've learned to have fun again. And that's in many ways what these games are all about. Now, he finished dead last, and he was so thrilled. His parents, I was at the finish line when he finished. His parents gave him a huge hug, and there were tears because winning for him was just getting to the starting line.
You got me going, Scott. Just listening to the stories, it's already happening again. Listen,
I'll give you one more. This may
be
my favorite one of gratitude. I told it at the closing ceremony. During the time we were at Whistler, our facilities in Vancouver were being used for school groups to go through and learn a little bit about service and learn about the Invictus movement. There was a grade 2 class from Coquitlam that asked to meet with one of the members of the organizing committee. So our chief financial officer, who wasn't at Whistler, came down and met with them. They had run a full school assembly, these grade 2 kids, to tell the rest of the school about what they had learned about Invictus and learned about service. And they ran a fundraiser. And they gave us a check for $480. Now, we had a lot of sponsors who gave us much bigger checks than that, but there was no check greater than that one.
That's amazing. I guess, you know, I'm sure when you get a position like this, Scott, this is very much about being a steward of something to which you want to, you know, take it and keep it moving. So I guess, you know, how do you see things moving forward? I mean, what do you want to give to the next year's Invictus Games?
Well, the next games are in Birmingham in 2027. I would like to think we set a bar fairly high that they will hopefully surpass in a different way. These were the first Invictus hybrid winter games. We had spectacular weather. We had the mountains. We had the ocean. Birmingham will have other things. But what I hope for the Invictus Games movement is that they're able to not necessarily expand the games, because I think the games themselves are probably at a max, but to use the games and the Invictus brand to help as many service members as they can. There's a new incoming CEO of the Invictus Games Foundation in London who wants to grow the impact by 10 times over the next number of years. What Prince Harry has done since these games started in 2014 is create a really meaningful brand. And I just cannot explain to you, if you haven't been to it, the incredible joy and positivity that was here for the entire 9 days. The smiles and the gratitude were amazing. So if we can replicate that and grow it, that's a really wonderful goal. And having spent some time now with Prince Harry, he is a really remarkable young man, young compared to me. He has the ability to do great things, and he's changed the world with these games. And in very difficult circumstances for him. He and his wife have an unbelievable media glare. What they do with that spotlight is to reflect it fully onto the service members that are part of these games. He's actually embarrassed about taking credit for this because for him, it's about helping those members of the service who have given so much to us.
Well, I appreciate that you giving us a small little insight into all the amazing stories that happened over the past week or so. Scott, thanks so much for your time.
Great to see you. Thanks for taking time.